All right, Sooner Nation. So if you guys are like me, you guys are eagerly awaiting to see who is Brent Venables going to pick as his new offensive coordinator here at the University of Oklahoma, because this season has been putrid and it has not lived up to the standards. With Seth Luttrell being fired and Joe John Finley being elevated, you've seen improvement, but not enough to say that this offensive staff should be retained. The jury is still out on who on the offensive staff will be retained, but we know that an offensive coordinator needs to be replaced. And in the Discord, some of y'all were dropping a name that I wasn't originally on board with, that I've started to come around to. And I think we might have finally found our offensive coordinator. Who's that going to be? We're going to talk about it today. Before we do that, though, as always, I want to hear from y'all. So make sure you join the discussion. Jump down in the comments below. Give me your thoughts on who you think the next offensive coordinator should be here at the University of Oklahoma. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you guys hit that like, hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out in a lot of ways. I need to pay for diapers, so I appreciate it. 66% of you guys actually are not subscribed and watch the videos. So just make sure that you're subscribed. Let's jump into it. So, with the firing of Seth Luttrell, Oklahoma's offense has moved from 126 all the way up to 112. Now, obviously, you played Maine, so you got to pad your stats a little bit, make yourself look a little better. But 112 is still not the standard at the University of Oklahoma. And it's interesting because the style of offense that Brent Venables wants to run at Oklahoma still might not be the offense that a lot of people want, but it's the offense that Oklahoma needs. And it's going to be a slower paced offense, a team that can control the time of possession and keep the defense off the field for as much as they have been on the field over the past couple of years, and even in the Lincoln Riley era. Oh, you can have a really good defense, but if they're playing 100 snaps a game, they're going to show faults and they're going to look worse than they really are. So Brent Venables wants to be able to go in there, control time of possession, and really just be able to dominate the game on both sides of the field. And there's been one name that I've seen thrown out there that really makes sense for this kind of hire. And it's currently going to be Tulane's offensive coordinator in Joe Craddock. Now, this might be a name that you're familiar with, maybe a name you're not. When we talked about the initial 5 guys that we were looking at for offensive coordinator, he was not on there, right? We talked about a Ben Arbuckle or a Brennan Marion or somebody like that. The only problem is if you're Oklahoma, you would like to get an offensive coordinator that's going to be here in between at least 2 to 3 years. Anything longer than 3 years tells you the experiment didn't work out. The offensive coordinator is probably really not that good. Anything less than 2 might have been a bad hire because that offensive coordinator is likely going to go get a head coaching job, which is why you look at candidates like Will Stein and probably say you're out on that because he's probably going to get a decent Power 4 head coaching job. Brennan Marion, you would imagine, would go get a head coaching job this offseason. So those aren't guys that we necessarily look at as strong candidates for Oklahoma. A lot of people really like Mike Shanahan, the offensive coordinator out at Indiana. But regardless, Joe Craddock makes a lot of sense when you look at the numbers. And let's go ahead and talk a little bit about that, right? Let's talk about what Joe Craddock's offense just in 2024 looks like. He averages 34 minutes and 11 seconds in time of possession on the year. That is the 4th best in college football. He has 2 40-minute games. He has 1 game under 30 minutes through 9 games. Do you guys know who that game was against? We'll come back to that. He averages 39 points per game, which is 15th in the FBS. He averages 425.33 yards per game. That is 43rd in the FBS, which the only team that they really didn't find success against was Oklahoma's defense. And that was the only team that they have been held under 30 minutes in time of possession against. You look at how they have an extremely balanced offense, 216.44 rushing yards per game. That's tied for 14th in the FBS. The guys, they average 208.89 pass yards a game. That's 85th in the FBS. And that's with a quarterback in Mensah who is pretty good. He's not a Jackson Arnold. He's not a Michael Hawkins, right? So Or he might be a little bit closer to Michael Hawkins, but he's not a Jackson Arnold. He's not some of the quarterbacks that Oklahoma's had walk through those doors before. So you would imagine Joe Craddock might find a little bit more success in the passing game at Oklahoma. And so you look at what he does, rushing yards attempts per game, 39th in FBS, 4.96 rush yards per attempt, 23 rushing touchdowns this season. He has 9.22 pass yards an attempt and 14.03 pass yards completion. He has 16 passing touchdowns. Here's the kicker. Oklahoma's kind of had a turnover problem this year, right? They turned the ball over a couple times. They've only lost 2 fumbles and they've only thrown 3 interceptions all year. Mensah's QBR is 71.5, which is 34th in the FBS. Oklahoma would take that. His offense has only allowed 13 sacks this season. Again, if you're Oklahoma, you take that. The question is, though, you bring in a guy like Joe Craddock, what does he potentially do to the offensive staff that's currently here? Does he let go Joe John Finley and DeMarco Murray and guys like that, right? Does he let go of a Bill Bedenbaugh and want to bring in his own offensive line coach? We talked about the offensive line coach and what that could look like for Oklahoma earlier this week. And I told you guys, if you're going to move off of Bill Bedenbaugh as your offensive line coach, you should move him to an analyst role, retain him so you can retain these classes, allow him to have some part in development for these kids, and then go hire a guy like Phil Loadholt or LSU's offensive line coach. And I know a lot of people think that can't happen. Oklahoma's pocketbooks are open for an offensive coordinator hire and definitely an offensive staff. They want to be able to compete because 2025 is the year that Oklahoma can realistically compete for a national championship at a high level. And you look at what Joe Craddock has been able to do all around college football. He was with Brent Venables when he was there at 2012, 2013, 2014. He went to SMU to be the offensive coordinator and head coach there from 2015 to 2017. He was at Arkansas from 2018 to 2019. He was at UAB as a tight ends coach from 2020 to 2021, at Troy from 22 to 23 as an offensive coordinator and QB's coach, and now he's at Tulane. And this Tulane team is one of the more dangerous G5 schools in the country based off what they were able to do to you on the offensive side of the ball. Now, a lot of people would say, well, what kind of players could he bring Oklahoma into the portal? I don't think you're bringing a Mario Williams over. You're not bringing a Mekhi Hughes. You're not bringing a Darian Mensah. But a guy like Ty Thompson, who was a former 4-star quarterback out of high school, might very well be in the realm of possibility. Whether you lose Michael Hawkins or not, you could add depth to that QB room. And you look at Temple's schedule, like Temple, you look at Tulane's schedule, they have to play Temple, at Navy, and Memphis. Very winnable games. Tulane could end the season 10-2, and a lot of it's going to be due to what their offense is able to do and being able to control the game and put it in their favor. So I want to hear from you guys. Join the discussion. Jump in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think. Shout out to Popo for giving us the stats. Really appreciate it. If you guys haven't already and you guys have made it this far, make sure you guys hit that like and you guys hit that subscribe button.